this is Joyce Rockwood, CPH, interviewing Joy Daniels today about her revolutionary perspective via her book, The Bounce, on behalf of America Newscape. Good day, Joy.
Hello, Joyce.
Let's jump right in today. What inspired the writing of this book, The Bounce book?
Well, the Bounce book has been a labor of love over quite a few years that we finally did all the end edits on and got it ready to publish just within the last month and a half. It's, how should I put it, one of the examples of a bonus from social distancing, because both my co-author and I have got very busy lives, and suddenly we were both at home, him in California, me in Canada, and we dove into a good 3-4 weeks of getting the book finished so we could get it out.
And what inspired writing it in the first place for both of you?
Well, my co-writer, Jordan Gruber, he has been the most devoted um, person to rebounding for 18 years now. And around 8 years ago, he asked me if I would be interested in trying it out. I'm not a person who usually likes to exercise at all, not on purpose. I mean, I like to dance and I do things, but even say if a girlfriend would want me to go jogging with her, I would only do it because there was a Starbucks at the end, basically. So exercise was never a big part of my life. But he is so in love with rebounding, and he offered to send me one, which is behind me right here. And if I promised that I would bounce for at least 20 minutes a day, starting off slower than that, but once I got into it, for 5 out of 7 days a week for half a year, and give it a go and see if I would like it. And that's how it all began.
And just real quick, for those hearing this word rebound, this is a trampoline. This is fitness exercise on a trampoline, right?
Well, yeah, a lot of people still refer to rebounders as mini trampolines, which it's like a cousin, right? Like you have your great big backyard trampolines, you have a rebounder. They're very similar. You bounce on both of them, right? A rebounder is a special piece of equipment in its own way. So yeah, a rebounder is like a cousin to a trampoline.
Perfect. And what sets this book apart from any other rebounding book?
Well, for one thing, it is a totally not boring fitness book, which says a lot because there are over 200 pages. It's very extensive. There's a lot of really good core information in there. We even have a full chapter with these adorable little stick people that show you a multitude of different bounce moves that you can do. There's a lot of history of rebounding, right from Al Carter through to all the many thereafter, since the 1980s, basically. There are my journals, which is when I mentioned how I first started to try out a rebounder. Well, I also kept a journal from the first day that I ever unpacked it, stepped on it, and tried it for the first time. And the journal is a lot of what motivated us to write this book, and what I guess helps it not to be boring, because when every chapter is a little bit different, there's personal stories, there's all the core information about how to and why to, all kinds of background, and it's full of art. We have a artist friend of ours who did paintings that were rebound related, including the one on our cover. There's a lot in this book. It's what you would call an actual page turner, which is rare.
Yeah, and I think, you started to touch upon that there's different exercises. So do you want people to know that there's more to do on a rebounder than just jumping straight up and down, right? There's different isometrics you can actually do to work different body parts, right?
Absolutely. And also the fact that what I love about rebounding, especially given the multi-generations, I mean, I'm a little bit older than I look. I'm 66 years old. There are a lot of people in my age group who do not move that much in their lives at all anymore. I used to be one of them, other than drinking tequila and dancing on a good night. But what I love about rebounding is that it's so appropriate for all age groups. My little grandchildren bounce and love bouncing on the rebounder. You have to supervise children, but it's such a wide based tool that's so useful. And there are so many things that you can do on it, aside from, as you say, just jumping up and down. We are, Jordan and I, very strong proponents on bouncing with light weights. Light weights meaning as little as, a pound or two, right? Little weights, weighted gloves, stuff like that. You can build incredibly great muscles very gently and easily. I mean, yeah, a lot more fun and a lot different than going out to a gym and hefting on the machines, right? So yeah, it's really quite a miracle, all of the things that you can do on a rebounder.
I am a huge fan of rebounding. I've been a rebounder myself for about 20 years or so,
Oh,
and probably longer
yay!
actually. So I think we're sisters in many more ways than just at the follicle.
Our big smiles,
And
our hair, our name. Ooh.
yeah, I mean, it's just, and so what I've noticed is the beautiful quality of my tissue, my skin, my muscles, the smoothness, the tone, and how it's really an overall full body fitness exercise. Even though you're jumping, you might think it's just your legs you're working. Like you say, you can work your arms and you can work your abs. You can do different things to work different body parts. And working with maybe people who are a little on the older side or wiser, it's low impact. It's
Yeah,
very low
the low
impact.
impact. It's so important, the low impact. And not just for older people. We have, during the years that we've been doing this, we've had previously very fit people, people who love to run, different things. And as they got older, unfortunately, their bodies began to give out, their knees. I mean, almost like you have to be careful of too much of a good thing, right? And for them to have the opportunity to use a rebounder with the low impact and do things again, like it's wonderful. It's a miracle. It truly is.
And there's a side benefit to getting all of the lymphatic system to be flushing toxins and really incorporating even more radiant skin from the inside out, right?
Oh, that is, always been one of the legendary but true things about rebounding. But even more so in our life and times right now, because if there was ever a time when people are looking at two things, one trying to be as immune as they can be health wise, moving their lymph as far as the health and the flushing out of things, because our heart pumps our blood, but we have to move for our lymph to move, right? That and the fact that rebounding, you can do it at home. That is huge these days, and probably will be for ongoing into the future. Knowing that you can be self-contained and still look after yourself really well.
That's a key point that you mentioned that I hope everyone in the audience picks up on, that your lymphatic fluid doesn't move unless you move, which is why rebounding in the morning is such a great way to get the circulation moving.
That is my favorite thing to do. I try and get a 15 or 20-minute bounce in as soon as I get up in the morning, for two reasons. One, it is a great way to start your day. It clears all the fuzz out of your mind, and it just really gets you set up for a wonderful day. And, I used to be like a lazy morning person, crawl out of bed until I had my first cup of coffee. Now it's crawl out of bed and go right to my rebounder. And it makes a huge difference. The other thing I love about having a good bounce in the morning is your day can get busy, and then before you know it, the hours get away from you. And you can find it harder and harder to make time. So if you get right on it, so to speak, literally and metaphorically, it's a good thing.
I agree. Getting those foundational principles as the first part of your day allows you to really take control and authority for the rest of your day. So, what type of rebounders do you recommend?
Well, now this is something that we have always really focused on, recommending that people get the best quality rebounder that they can afford it. To try and shy away from the really, really inexpensive ones, like the $50 toy rebounders that you see here and there. If you're just getting started and you have very little money to get a rebounder, I guess that lets you know that you like bouncing enough that you will be more willing to invest in a better one. But we are very, how should I put it, big tent in our attitude about both rebounding equipment and in the different styles and ways that people bounce. We have people who use like the particularly strong and sturdy spring-based bouncers with shoes because they're able to like really aerobically work out. They can just tear it up. We've got a picture of one girl from Australia in our book who is like that. I mean, you watch her rebound videos, your mouth falls open, right? You wouldn't be able to do that on a bungee rebounder because they're just a little bit gentler, right? I myself, as you see, use a bungee cord rebounder, which I really love because it's so low impact, and depending on your mat strength and your cord strength, you get a very firm bounce, right? I like how quiet the bungee cord ones are, but they all have their qualities, and it's up to each person to, choose what's best for them. The main thing is try and get the best quality one you can.
Yeah, it's an investment. There's typically a cost associated with quality, right?
Well, the interesting thing about the investment that people make in a rebounder, just about everybody I found is like me, because rebounding is so much fun. That is the secret why it's the one exercise modality that people stick to, even if they never expected to, because you get on a rebounder and start bouncing around, and it almost recreates the emotional feeling of when we were children bouncing on the bed. There's something about it, right? So if you're going to invest money in some exercise equipment, the number of friends of mine over the years who have spent much bigger money than what a rebounder costs on various types of bicycles and equipment things that are quite something, and they end up hanging their laundry on it. I mean, there's a lot to consider there, right?
It's so true. I will say that I have used both the metal frame and spring rebounder as well as the bungee cord style, and I'm a huge fan of the bungee cord style. It's much smoother. I definitely feel it's quieter, and it feels even more squishy and cushy.
Well, yeah, and especially for people who really need gentle impact while still getting all the benefits. The bungee cords are a fairly new innovation. They've been around close to a decade now, but new insofar as the spring started in early 80s, right? For people who have joint problems, for people who really need that super gentleness, there's nothing quite as gentle as the bungee cords, right? But I'll tell you something that I've learned, because I'm on a lot of Facebook interest groups for rebounders. There's a lot of them out there. Most of them are private. You have to join them, right? There are thousands of people who are members, and everybody tends to be in love with whatever their particular good rebounder is. Like if they're using a spring one and it's a good one, they will just talk about its benefits forever. If it's bungee cord, they'll do the same thing, right? But I think the commonality is what everybody's liking is the fact of the bouncing itself. They fall in love with their particular equipment because they love to bounce so much.
Yes, as you mentioned, it's very blissful, and I agree with you on that. So where can we actually buy or purchase a really quality rebounder?
The best thing is just to go online. All of the most famous names you just Google them and they're there. There's Bellicon, there's Jump Sport, there's Leaps and Rebounds. They are all bungee cord. You've got Dave Hall and his Cellulizer. That's, he's been a huge promoter of rebounding forever, Al Carter, he still got his make. There's quite a few of them out there. I think it allows you to comparison shop really well. Yeah.
Great suggestions. And who would you say is your book's ideal audience, Joy?
Our ideal audience is basically anybody who's old enough to read, right down to anybody whose eyesight is still good enough that they can read. And for those who eyes are not that good, someday we'll turn it into an audiobook. Because just like I believe that rebounding is something that is good for basically everybody, you know, the addendum of watching smaller children because they love it so much, you know, it's very safe to rebound compared to letting them loose on a backyard trampoline. But I believe that, you know, children should always be monitored. Very, very old people, if they're having balance issues, you know, you want to be there for them as well. But then there's equipment they can add, like bars and, you know, such. Like, it's so versatile, you know. So the book, okay, talking about why we wrote the book, there has not been a really comprehensive book about rebounding written for decades and decades. I don't think there's ever been one as extensive and comprehensive as ours. The fact that we've got close to 300 pages in this book, and it's not boring. 300 pages. That is a lot of rebounding information, along with, you know, photos and art, you know, actual paintings, which is quite interesting. When you have our artist also bounces, and she created these paintings centered around a rebounder that are like pretty interesting. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's the book for everyone.
And so what's next for Superbound?
Well,
your biz name?
Yeah. You know, this is something back in early days when I first started this project with my co-writer Jordan Gruber, we spent quite a while trying to figure out what is an interesting name that we could call the project, right? And we ended up with Superbound, with super with the capital S and bound with the capital B, all in one word. It looked really good, and it kind of captured our feeling for the fact that rebounding helps everybody to be more of their super self. You know, we all have a lot inside of us, you know, no matter where we're starting from. You know, peak physical performance where you're wanting to improve it, or absolutely haven't done so much but walked to the fridge in the last 2 years. You know, we all have that superness, you know, and we just need to channel it and find a way to nourish it. So as for what's next for Superbound, we will be creating a website. We've already got a lot of videos from, you know, I've got 300 videos of me on YouTube bouncing to hit songs, which we're trying to figure out because the copyright infringement thing started to be a concern, even though we put, you know, a header on our video saying we don't own the song. So we're probably going to, with our website, redo that concept and find you know, personal artist friends. We know a lot of people in the music industry, and get them to you know, allow us to use their music officially, so that we don't have to ever worry about, well, gee, we just love that song, but, you know, maybe we're not allowed to use it.
Well, I'm sure those musicians will appreciate getting their beautiful work out to the masses as well. And so what would you like to...
Yeah.
And Joy, what would you like to leave us with today?
What do I want to leave you all with today? I didn't quite hear the entire...
Yes, I'm sorry. Closing thoughts. What would you like to leave us with
Closing thoughts. Well, first I want to really, really thank Justin for giving me the opportunity to do an interview. We only launched the book less than a week ago. I mean, it's very, very new. It's been heartening. I mean, we've sold a lot of copies already. It's like, well, you know, I figure there's hundreds of thousands of people who own rebounders. And there's a whole lot more that we'd like to reach who've never tried it. And, you know, like, what we want to do is inspire and motivate and teach. That's the whole purpose of, like, the book, all rolled into one. We are not just trying to preach to the choir, although the choir of people who love rebounders, they're going to love all the information that's in the book. But we're also hoping to inspire a lot more people to give it a go like I did, you know. And I also want to thank you, Joyce. You know, it's just lovely to meet you virtually online here.
Absolutely. And I'm assuming that your book can be purchased in all of the online venues. We'll have links below this video for that.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, it's available Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, and we've also published it through Ingram Spark because, again, it's a one-of-a-kind book. It's pretty special, and we've had interest in actual brick and mortar bookstores carrying it. I mean, you know, like this could end up being quite a thing. I sure hope so, because I'd love the whole world to read it and get rebounders and start bouncing.
I agree. I endorse that dedication and that. This has been Joyce Rockwood and Joy Daniels sharing a glimpse into the Bounce book. Thanks for joining us. And please remember, additional information and links are provided right below this video in the Read More section, and consider subscribing to this channel. Join us in our efforts to support humanity everywhere. Bye, Joy.